Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. TJ here once again. Tonight's topic is how the narcissist is actually proud of his or her scams. Now, this normally won't take place once you first met such a person, but it does become apparent later, especially once they've firmly entrench their hooks into your life, into your existence. Then these things start to come out. And I'm here to give you 3 real life examples. For real. So, the first one is I was a 21-year-old kid many years ago. I was at a nightclub that had the great post 80s music, Book of Love, and others. And I was shy, I was just a kid, and there was this man there. This man who had this look, like the look of your dreams if you're a young queer kid. And I looked at it, and he walked right up to me, and he said, "I like your hair." Well, at that time, I had this big old 80s crimped hair mess, big, gigantic. And I was, of course, thinking, wow, he paid attention to me. Well, one thing led to another, and we ended up exchanging information and hanging out here and there, like regularly from then on. And I was like, wow, the person I idolized, physically, of course, is interested in me. And anyway, the point of all this was, this went on for months. Actually, 2 years. And, of course, pieces and bits were there to indicate this was a cluster B monster, but I didn't know what that was then, and I did not want to believe it either because, anyway. So, 2 years into it, we were together one night at a social gathering, and he happened to say, "Oh, by the way, when I first met you, your hair was disgusting." And because I memorized things, I'm like, wait a second. The first line you gave to me was, "I like your hair." And his response? "Well, it got what it wanted, didn't I?" I got what I wanted, didn't I? And of course my eyes rolled in my head because basically that's him telling me, I scammed you and it worked. And they're proud of it. They are actually proud of it. Which brings us to example number 2. Example number 2 is I met a person several years ago who gave me this backstory that was like totally fictitious, which is typical of the typical narcissistic personality cluster B fuckers, but gave me a fake story, which of course after the hooks were sunk in, the truth became evident. And after several months, I finally turned to this person. I said, "Look," I said, "doesn't it bother you that you and I met under false pretenses?" And the response I got was, "Well, I'm still here," which is repulsive and retarded. Because basically, once again, this person is like reveling in the fact, and they're basically saying, "Well, I scammed you and it worked," and it's sickening. And the third example is the same person who, when I first met after my previous 11-year fiasco, I'd said, "You know what? I'm not looking for anything serious. I want to have fun. That's it." And he had said, "Oh, me too. I don't want a relationship either." Well, after like 3-4 weeks of interacting with this one, he comes up with, oh, I want to have a relationship with you. And I'm like, wait a second. I thought you said you didn't want that. Just like I didn't want that. And guess what the response was? It was, well, what would you have said if I had told you I really did want a relationship? Which is basically telling me, well, I fooled you and now I want you. And that's the way these people work. So look out, because they switch from A to Z in a second. And it's really nauseating.